I'm Maisie.
And I'm Lily.
And we're the Santa Barbara Middle School Teen Press, and we're here with
Hannah-Beth Jackson, former assembly member.
Can you tell us about the work you do with the homeless?
Well, I actually was here to help moderate this. There are a number of people on the panel and in the audience who are really doing the incredible work. They recently went out and actually counted and found our homeless communities by going out at 4 o'clock in the morning to find the various homeless encampments and all. And part of what this discussion was today. These are people totally dedicated. They're an awesome group to really trying to get homeless people off the streets, try to get them shelter, try to get them treatment. You might have heard a lot of them have substance abuse problems, alcohol problems, mental health issues, but they're a population that needs to be helped, and that's why we were here tonight.
When I see a homeless person on the street, what do you think the right thing to do or say is?
Well, it depends. You know, there are a lot of homeless people who are on the streets because they have nowhere else to go, and are, as I think they said tonight, just a warm smile, just a little human connection can be very, very helpful. I think probably the best thing that you could do is actually volunteer time at a soup kitchen, helping to feed people who otherwise would not have food, or go and work at one of the shelters, and perhaps even work with some of these different groups here to try to just provide, again, a personal connection. A lot of these folks have no family, they have nowhere to go, and they're all alone, and it's nice to sort of enrich one's life with the connection of another person.
Have you been personally affected by homelessness?
Well, not personally, but in a prior life before I became a member of the state legislature, I practiced law, and during the course of my practice I did come across people who were homeless for a variety of reasons. They were living in their cars, sometimes because of domestic violence. They were abused and they literally left with just the clothes on their back in order to protect themselves from being seriously injured or killed. So I did have that experience. And these people are really alone. Oftentimes they're abandoned by their families. Sometimes they have mental illnesses and people don't know how to deal with them, and they don't know where to go for treatment. So I have seen this, and certainly we have this issue in Santa Barbara where we see a lot of people who are out on the streets who clearly don't have a place to go home to.
Thank you.
Sure, my pleasure.
Thank you. We're here with
Dr. David Lennon.
Can you tell us about the work you do with the homeless?
Sure. I'm the Medical Director for Healthcare for the Homeless here in Santa Barbara County Public Health Department, and we provide services, medical services throughout the region to all of our patients who are experiencing homelessness. And what this means is that the patients have the ability to come to any of our clinics throughout the county, whether it be in Carpinteria or Santa Maria or here in Santa Barbara, and access care. And we also have shelter clinics located in Casa Esperanza, Rescue Mission, and Good Samaritan Shelter, where we also offer evening and some weekend hours for those that can't come during the regular workday.
When I see a homeless person on the street, what's the right thing to do or say?
Well, the right thing to do is to not just pass them and not think about what you're doing. Homeless, just because someone is homeless, they're still a person, and they still need our respect, and they need our help. And it's amazing when you get to know these individuals, these people, like I have the ability to get to know them as their primary care physicians. Each are unique individuals, each have unique stories, and not as an afterthought, but that's a human being there. And if you can reach out and just say hello, or just ask them if they need anything, sometimes just a kind word makes their whole day and helps them get through the day.
How can we help with homelessness?
Well, There's a lot of things that need to be done on a volunteer basis, and the organizations throughout the county, like Casa Esperanza, Rescue Mission, Good Samaritan Shelter, we're always looking for volunteers. You would have to probably go through your school counselor to contact those organizations to find out where and how you could help, but there's plenty of volunteer activities out there, even for young kids at middle school age.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Deidre Edgar.
Can you tell us about the work you do with the homeless?
I work as a deputy public defender in Santa Barbara. We represent the legal interests of all indigent people in the community, whether it's their rights to treatment and protection and care as a disabled person, or if they get charged with a crime, a criminal defense. We're there for everyone in the community that cannot afford a lawyer.
When I see a homeless person on the street, what's the right thing to do or say?
I think if you are not in any kind of danger, it would be the same as if you would come across me in the street. You could say hello, good morning, you could smile, you could keep walking if you don't feel comfortable. I think you have to be careful because like all strangers, you don't know what people's abilities are to do harm, but they are first and foremost a human being, and they are members of our community, and usually it makes them feel really good when people say good morning or hello. You don't have to stop and engage, but it's a recognition that they're here and they're part of us.
Have you been affected personally by homelessness?
I have a family member that's mentally ill who lives in his car. I have another family member who has been mentally ill and is recovering, and I have who have both had difficulties with housing. So I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We're here with.
Suzanne Reardon.
Can you tell us about your work with the homeless?
Well, years and years ago, I was homeless myself. And it happened when I had a baby, because nobody wanted to rent to someone with not too much money and a little tiny baby. So I ended up sleeping on the mesa in my van for a little while, not very long, thank goodness. And now, oddly enough, now we go to meetings, the mesa meetings for the homeless advocates right next to that property. So that's how I became aware of what it was like to be homeless, even though I was lucky and I was able to soon find a friend who let me live in my van with my little baby in his driveway. And from there I moved in with some friends who also had a little newborn baby, and you know, we were able to afford it if we split the cost.
When I see a homeless person on the street, what's the right thing to do or say?
Well, it just depends on the situation, but just be there, you know, don't be judgmental and just be there with them, like I'm sure you're doing a great job of, better than the rest of us already. And just see, you know, your brother, your sister, your mother, your daughter, your child there, your grandmother. That's who that is, you know that.
How can we help with the homeless problem?
Well, you in particular, or people in general?
Kids in general.
Well, like I said, I think we got to do things on different levels. We've got to change our system, or it's not going to get any better. And there's a whole bunch of things that we talked about tonight that we can do, that we're going to have to do to change our system. We're going to have to help people with their mental illness, help people that have been traumatized by war, the veterans, help people that have had difficult things happen in their life and that have started to drink too much or use drugs that are hurting them. And we got to stop throwing them into jail. We got to use that money that's going into that whole criminal justice system, some of it, and provide loving and compassionate treatment for people and give them a place to live too. So what else can we do? I think that what Jeff Schaefer is doing is so beautiful, and what Jennifer Perez is doing is beautiful. And I think that forming little teams of people that would, several people being responsible for one person, not responsible for, but there for one individual person. It's already happening. There's some people in this room already that are sort of like the guardian angels of someone who's on the street, and that person doesn't even know it. and they help them, you know, they're just sort of watching over some part of the time. They're making sure they're okay, making sure they're handing them a few dollars to buy their food at the farmer's market. And there's a whole little team of people already. You know, there's several little teams of people that are there for one individual person. It could take many, many different forms. If you had a place in your backyard for their tent, that'd be great. But even if you're just there caring about them, they're going to start to hopefully feel that. And that can't do them any harm. It could take a lot of different forms. Just care. Have that feeling of love and care and concern for them without, you know, getting in their face. You don't want to be intrusive.
Okay.
You could tell me a lot, I'm sure.
Thank you. You did a great job.